Hello, welcome to another Gundam Operation 2 video. That is the new suit, the Aggjin, and man, this is a really fun raid to play. You know, coming from somebody that doesn't typically play raids, this is just a doozy to play. Like, oh my goodness, like, it is. I was actually really surprised playing this. I was like, oh shit, this is actually kind of fun, you know? And to kind of help accentuate that, she'll show off the suit some more. I got potentially 3 matches here for you. The first match is going to be on Underground Base of 350, and the second match is going to be 350 City Ruins. Both are going to be, we're going to clutch it out, essentially, right? We're going to clutch out both wins here. You know, good for our teammates and all that. And the third match is going to be just me doing whatever in a 350 space match, because I wanted to play some space with it. Only got a limited amount of time with it. I did actually try out a few 450 space matches, and actually did kind of well, surprisingly, but yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the suit now. So we're going to get right into the stats. I did mention this is a 350 raid. You have 16,000 health with 8 ballistic resistance and 13 beam resistance. You have 15 melee resistance, 10 range strength, 25 melee strength, 130 movement speed with 195 boost speed, 55 thruster gauge, and 66 turning speed, which turns into 75 in space. And for your slots, you only have 3 close range slots, but you do have 13 mid range and 8 long range slots. And yeah, some of the builds I did, I tried out a basically kind of like a tanky build. I say tanky, there's not a whole lot you can build on this. I think you could put on a level 3 melee part or like a high level beam defense part, right? Although, you know, 350, that can be kind of whatever depending on who you run into, right? So I did have a build that I gave myself around 25, I want to say, beam resistance, and then some melee resistance to go with that. And then I had another build where I focused on my my weapons more, my damage output, where I had more range strength and more melee damage, which that one actually did. I kind of stuck with that one. Although the defense one can help out in some of the bigger maps, right? If you really want to bring out the bigger maps. Some of the smaller maps, though, yeah, the more damage output was really nice, and you'll see what you can do with this. Just you know, again, I'm not much of a raid player, right? But you'll see some output here, and it kind of makes me want to see some people whenever we do a spectator match, see how they can do with that. But yeah, so there's some other builds you can do. I think I've seen some people do some auxiliary generator parts to help out with the beam weapons, because this suit does do fairly okay in terms of range weapons, right? You know, it's not just a melee raid, right? Not super close range, despite, you know, the way it looks, you know, comparing it to stuff like the Aqua guy, right? Or the At guy, which, you know, fair enough, that guy does have their range weapons, but you know what I mean, right? But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the weapons. Starting off, you have the Aggjin Armed Mega Particle Cannon, which is 1,200 damage with 85% heat rate and 300 range. This is just a basic stunning weapon. You can use it just to just initiate into your other weapons or into your melee. It's just, again, very basic stun. It's a beam weapon as well, but you know, it's not going to do too much against generals. You know, so don't expect just high damage output. Again, use it for your stuns to go into other stuff, right? Your melee weapon, that is the Aggjin Claw Arm, which is 1,900 damage. It has a nice little poke in its downswing, or not downswing, the neutral, right? It's very narrow though, and the downswing is also very narrow. You just, you just go jab straight into your, use your fist to jab straight into somebody's face, right? And actually, no, with how low you are, I think it goes right into their waist, or their crotch, or their legs, enough to hit gym types when they're laying flat on the ground, right? You know, there's some suits like the Zogok or the Zgok and Zgok E, where they'll do their downswing, and depending on, the elevation, you'll just whiff. Well, this suit doesn't have to worry about that when it does the straight jab forward, right? So yeah, pretty nice. Just 2 starting weapons here, basic stun, and you do have some high melee damage, as expected of a raid, right? Or typically expected from a raid. Alright, now we're on to the secondary weapon. Starting off, you have the Diffusion Beam Cannon ×4, which is 500 damage, which, you're shooting 4 of those, so, that builds up pretty nicely. With 100% heat rate and 150 range. Yeah, this is your second instant stun. Very easy to combo into, very easy to set up. Just bam, swap to another weapon, bam, second stun, or you can combo into this. Despite similarities to other suits like the Jawagu, you cannot boost while using this. Thank God. So yeah, you can just use this for a basic second stun or to combo with your other range weapons for some pretty good mid-range potential. You know, if you want to go in too close for melee attacks, right? Works pretty damn well actually. Both of these weapons, I say both of these, 3 weapons so far, right? And then we go into your next secondary weapon, which is the Aggjin Mega Particle Cannon ×2 Discharge, which is 300 damage per shot with 12% heat rate and 350 range. Basically, you pull out both your arms and you'll shoot, you know, both simultaneously. It doesn't have the best stun accumulation. You practically have to overheat it to get a stun, but it does provide a lot of damage output, actually. 300 damage per shot, you know, if you're going up against supports, really good mid-range potential, and even against some generals, just poking at them, right? Really good combo with the teammate, finishing off low health enemies from a distance. Fairly nice weapon. I believe you see me use these a few times in the matches, either bouncing off of a stun and using them, or finishing off low health enemies. So yeah, again, great weapon so far, right? Even though it doesn't have the best stun accumulation, which, you know, same thing for the next weapon here, which is the chest 4-tube missile launcher, which is not on the chest, but that is 400 damage per round with 4 rounds and 200 range. And yeah, it's just a rapid missile launcher, right? And if you hit all 4, it will stun. Again, you practically have to hit every shot to stun if you're using this by themselves, right? But, you know, you can combo this with, you know, if you do miss a shot, or maybe if you already approached with the Mega Particle Cannon ×2, you can use these to help get a stun accumulation that way, right? And then go into your other stuff, right? And that is it for the weapons, which very small list, but again, very, very nice to use, having played it so far. Now we're on to the skills. Starting off, you have Assault Booster level 2. You know, every raid does have Assault Booster, so if you just charge your jump button, you'll be able to, you know, reach max jump height very quickly compared to other suits, right? And of course, you can absorb instant stuns while in the air as well. You do have Balancers, of course, as expected for a raid, right? You do have MBAC level 2. That will definitely help you out in space, because this is actually a space compatible suit despite its amphibious looking nature, right? You do have melee combo controller level 2, so that is 3 melee swings. You do also have shock absorber level 2. You have blast stabilizer, so mobile suit explosions do not heavy stagger you, so you can walk right through them. Just keep trucking along, right? You do have head buffer level 3, which I believe that is 20% off in damage, and you know, the part damage to your head, which, you know, is the majority of your body essentially. Honestly, even with the buffers, it does feel like it gets broken very easily in my experience, and that's just because, well, look at the size of its fucking head, you know? Anything you throw at this thing is probably going to hit its head first. So yeah, there's been a lot of moments where, yeah, my head just breaks, right? But, hey, I mean, at least you'll be taking less damage, technically, so... And yeah, next thing here is aquatic mobile shooting, which, even though this is, they say it's not an amphibious suit, it does have aquatic mobile shooting, which means if you're underwater, you can actually use your primary weapon, which it is a stunning weapon, which is very, very valuable to approach aggressively on a target underwater. So you can literally just boost towards somebody, stun them, and then go into melee immediately, which is very gross to have. Now, unfortunately, you can't slap on the amphibious part, you know, the water part, to give your suit water affinity, because it doesn't have enough part slots, unfortunately, even with the complex expansion, I believe. So you can't do that, but at least you get this anyway, right? In case you don't have any other amphibious suits that you like playing, but you want to play this, though, in like military port or something. So, yeah, and then finally you have a new skill. You have Resist Move Kai, or Resist Movement Kai. Now, Resist Movement used to be, I say used to be, it technically is only on support so far, the regular Resist Movement, right? It is on the Sazabi FF and the Kshatriya. Basically, it is a dodge roll without the iframes, so you'll still be taking full damage, and a lot of people have some contention with that, and honestly, I do wish we had, like, just regular dodge rolls for those suits, but at the same time, that is a really useful skill to avoid getting followed up on in, like, let's say, you know, a raid's coming after you as the Kshatriya or the FF Sazabi. You get stunned, you do a dodge roll, you know, you can avoid getting downswung, lying on the ground, just being useless. You have a little bit of a chance to fight back, right? Get you out of hairy situations. So same thing going on here with the Aggjin. However, with this skill, you can do 4 dodge rolls because it will take, I believe, it only does 25% of your thruster gauge. And not only that, you can, as you can figure from the matches so far, if you dodge roll into somebody, doesn't matter which direction you use, you will do a flat 1,000 damage to them if you hit them at least once. Some of the dodge rolls have potential to hit up to 3 times. So if you have somebody up against the wall and you do a dodge roll, let's say you're already doing, like, you already did a 3,000 damage downswing, right? You can do another 3,000 for 6,000 damage. And thing is, you still have 3 more dodge rolls to go. So you're starting to see some really insane damage built up. Really, really crazy. Now, keep in mind you're still taking damage, right? So obviously, if you're dodge rolling willy-nilly, you can find your thruster gauge overheated, and you'll just be taking damage anyway that you already been taking, right? So yeah, this is really good for just getting you out of stun locks, or potential stun locks, I should say, and adding damage to your combos. And let me tell you, again, the damage is really high, as you saw, I believe, at the beginning of the City Ruins match against the Ifrit knock, and I think it's even more consistent in space. On ground, I believe from the way it's positioned, like your head, when you do a roll, like your head hits first, then your right arm, and then it looks like your foot afterwards. It does 3 hits, and I know I think that's the first time I've seen it hit 3 times, because I thought it only did 2 on the front roll, right? Now the side rolls, I believe they can hit more than once, right? And the backwards dodge roll, I know for a fact does 2. So yeah, you can just zip around somebody, just damage them, and then if you're in space, because of the way space works, if you downswing somebody, they go flying backwards, but you can dodge roll and fly forwards to get, almost a guaranteed just 2 hits. Really consistent, So yeah, this is a very, very scary skill. I mean, it's gimmicky, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of potential here for people just to literally just avoid what you're doing to them, and then they can still get some free damage off on you, and even do some non-risk maneuvers, where let's say, like, if you're really low on health, like 1,000 just to say, right? If you're on 1,000 health and you're going into melee the Aggjin, he can just dodge roll in front of you and just kill you, essentially, right? So you got stuff like that, and of course, the combos it can do. And the thing is, I mentioned that it does a flat 1,000 damage, and this goes across all classes. Raid, support, general, you're taking 1,000 damage, which means you can, essentially, if you get a really good hit on somebody, for me, you really have to get them up against, like, a wall or something solid, right? Like, if they're in a corridor and they get downswung by you or your teammates, or even their own teammates, right? And they're blocking the way, you can't get over them or you can't boost over them, you just dodge roll in front of them, get them that way, right? And start racking up damage. Yeah, even against generals, it does a lot of damage, depending on, their health, right? So, yeah, this is a really, really just weird ass skill that it just works. It's a really great skill. It works really well on close range maps because they typically don't have a lot of close quarters combat stuff like wall sections, right? So City Ruins, even the underground base, a lot of areas where this can just really shine, right? Not too much for open maps. It depends on how accurate you can get your dodge rolls, going back and forth, but still. And yeah, that will lead into the pros and cons. So starting off with the cons, the suit is pretty decently sized. It is pretty wide to hit. It is a big body, despite it being smaller than your typical suit. Just a little tad bit shorter, right? It's still got that bulky amphibious nature to it. So pretty easy to hit. You are a raid 2 with low resistances. You only 8, if you're not building for resistances, you have 8 ballistic and 13 beam and only 15 melee. So yeah, suits can definitely, especially some of the generals at this cost, stuff like the Marine Gundam, just to name one very scary suit this cost. Yeah, they'll be able to do some really gnarly damage to you if you're not very, if you're not careful, right? Or, if you got a Zogok coming in to melee you. Again, be very, very careful when playing this suit if you're being really aggressive, which, I guess will lead into another con, which it does have resist movement, which means that you'll be taking damage anyway, even if you dodge roll. You don't have maneuver armor either, which I'm not gonna give it a downside because, or like making that a downside, right? That's liking that, but still, you don't have maneuver armor, and you don't have anything to really save you from damage. So be careful when using your dodge rolls, and be careful when you're going in, right? Thankfully, this suit does have. Actually, before I get into is there any other cons I can think of for this suit? Not so far. I guess you could say the sun accumulation's kind of so-so, right? I mean, obviously you have to use up all your weapons on both of the sun accumulation weapons to get a stun, but I mean, one of them provides really good damage output, so I guess that that can be the intended purpose for that, for like mid-range, just hits, right? Yeah, I guess we'll now go into the pros. Starting off with the pros, I really like the weapons on this suit. They feel fantastic to use. You got a double stun, which is not too common at 350. So that's a really valuable thing to have. Even if one of them doesn't do a whole lot of damage, just the act of stunning somebody, you can combo into them, get another stun off. Very, very great, especially if you got teammates around. Another thing is I think the stun accumulation on the diffusion cannon, the diffusion beam cannon might be decent too. I can only recall one thing that happened where I stopped a maneuver armor level 1 suit, but I don't know if that was just because he got shot beforehand or what, but I'll have to look into that a little bit more. But even so, if that's so, then hey, that might be a pretty good idea to use to stop maneuver armor, if that's true. Yeah, the weapons are really nice on the suit. Really like the weapons. You got nice damage build up. You do have another pro here. You do have some really good skills. You do have, of course, the typical stuff for a raid like Assault Booster. You do have Balancers and the Ambac to help you out in space. You do have melee for 3 melee swings. You do have the Blast Stabilizer to help you, thank God, with how wide the suit is. The head buffers to try and help out, although I feel like it's still it's a little bit easy to break. But, it's not, the Aggin's fault that its head is so fucking massive, right? So, and you do have aquatic mobile shooting in case you want to go underwater, right? And finally, the biggest pro here is the resist movement Kai. This is a really just out of left field idea for a skill where, I mean, technically speaking, a big giant robot rolling into you, would do a lot of damage. But, in this game, they have iframes. They don't do any damage when they roll into you, except for this suit now, where, it just does flat 1,000 damage against all classes, and you can potentially get 2 or 3 hits in of, again, doing a 3,000 damage downswing into a 3,000 damage dodge roll. Do that a few more times, then you might get 2,000 instead, right? And then potentially might even get another neutral swing off on your melee. It just builds up crazy amounts of damage, and really makes the suit just top notch in some of these close quarters combat maps. Again, like if you have a bunch of walls on the map, very, very great way to use this suit is just to get them up against the wall, or if they happen to be on a wall, get that downswing in, dodge roll into the wall where they're at, and you're just guaranteed damage. Fantastic. And the thing is, it's really easy to combo into in space. As we mentioned, you can do downswing and then immediately dodge roll into them because they're going to be flying backwards if they're on the same level as you, right? And instantly get another 1,000, 2,000 damage, right? Go into another downswing, into another dodge roll. Yeah, it's just really good. And also speaking, because you're doing a dodge roll, you can't get downswung by your teammates. So that means you can have your teammates just combo this guy on the ground while you're dodge rolling into them doing damage. So it's a really good teamwork skill too, or team damaging skill. See, I'm losing my words because I'm thinking of all the ways to use this, and I have used these in these ways as well. I can recall me and Taru both picking Aggjins, and we had a guy up against the wall, and we downswung him. They both just dodge rolled into him, and he just died really fast. So this fucking bowling ball, it's really fun to play, which I guess, if you guys, to do the ending of the video here, if it's going to be the end of this video, if you guys enjoy this video, leave a like, subscribe if you want, I'd really appreciate it. Let me know how you feel about the Aggjin, and for me personally, this is just a really fun suit to play, and in fact, I think it's pretty good. I do recommend this for people that are very interested in the way this suit plays. It's pretty gimmicky, but it honestly it's a really good gimmick. It's really fun to use, and it can do really well. In fact, with the way it is, having 4 dodge rolls and all that, I've seen some people say this suit is overpowered. Now, I don't know what to think about this just yet because I've been focusing just on how fun it is to play. I'll give it a few days. I have mentioned before that I've kind of not been playing GBO2 as much as usual, right? But this kind of makes me want to play a little bit more, just because it's that fun, right? Um, Obviously, if you feel like you might die too easily in the suit, because there is potential for that where you have low resistances. Now you do have a lot of health for your class, with 16,000 health, right? But you do have some low resistances, and we mentioned that you don't have any move armor, so you have to be really careful how you approach. So it's not going to be for everybody, but again, this is a really, really fun suit to play. I really appreciate this suit. But yeah, it's just weird, and I like it. And if it's going to be overpowered, we'll have to see in the coming days. I do feel like, though, the way the damage output is on that dodge roll when you got somebody up against the wall, which can be very common on some maps, I can see where some people are coming from, where you can potentially just fuck up a lot of classes, like even generals, right? And that might be an issue, right? Where you can just dodge roll into somebody over and over again to build up a lot of damage and go in for, melee afterwards, or you start off with the melee. And it still has some pretty decent mid-range capabilities with 2 instant stuns. Like, it does feel like it has a lot on it. So I can understand where that's coming from, but we'll have to see where it is in the next few days, right? And I can't wait to do the stream, which I think by the time this video is out will be today, for spectator stream, see how people will play this. People that are way better at playing raids than I am. But yeah, that'll be it, and I will see you guys later. Bye.